difference maker. Maybe he's able to stay alive there, take down iFrozy, and then you have a 2v1 against Artist right above, and then you might, you know, you give yourself a chance, you give yourself a fighting chance. Small margins are the difference makers here. They're just on the outside mini, but if they don't make it now, they'll be looking back at that game as, wow, we really had our chance there.
Yeah, misplay. I think he was stuck inside of two minds there. Do I go back into the zone, try and help out Frag? Do I try and go back into the storm and then heal off with this Chug Jug, maybe find some extra heals? Don't think Podesai was quite too aware as to what he was thinking about doing right there, but they've put themselves in a good position. 12th place, they can still clutch up and get inside of that top 5.
Sorry, man, this group is too stacked, bro. Look at the page right now. Look at the amount of names who might not make it. I'm looking straight at 14th. I drop Hari and Cammy right now on the outside of the consistency places. A good game will do it for them here. But that is a load of pressure on this game, right? Pressure that I'm sure they can handle. But this is a team they've not been anonymous today. Like, they've had really good games. We've seen them up on high. We've seen them in situations primed to win games. And the possibility of these guys not even making it through to the major finals after this next game would be catastrophic. This would be a huge upset.
Well, I thought this was going to be the game for them. They set up really well. They did exactly what Cammy's known for, being in a good position, now playing high as well. Just lacking those eliminations we saw right there. I think they had 2 for the team. They weren't ever going to be able to have the materials to stay up there. So they need to turn it on now for this last game because it's now or never.
Well, when we saw the lobby list for Group 3, we all knew that heartbreak was going to be inevitable. There's going to be tears for some of these trios, some of them tears of joy because they will have qualified for the Major 3 finals after this game. Take it away, Taco and Takata.
Look, I know everybody can't be winners here today, Takata, but it is brutal what might take place after this final lobby. Everything is essentially on the line because, again, nobody wants to try and stake their bets through the last chance qualifier.
I'm scared and I'm not even playing. I'm just watching the games and I'm feeling the pressure from spectating these matches. Levin was pointing it out, but the amount of names on that second page not yet in qualifying range, it's looking like a finals already. And this is just the third group. 1 match is all that's left before we see our final trios that are going to qualify to the major finals. The only thing left after this final group stage is that last chance qualifier where 3 trios make it through, but we don't have to wait any longer. Let's kick off the last game of the day.
And even when we step away from that consistency metric for the leaderboard, there's 1 spot left up for grabs in winning this final match here, Takata. And in Game 5, I truly believe we are about to witness some real maniacs on display. Because some of these teams, they know I don't have a singular chance. I've been losing every single one of these 50-50s off spawns. I only have the win as my win con. And Karma, Sato, Split, for the first time ever, uncontested at Outpost. The message has been established. This is our turf.
I mean, it's a good time to be uncontested. Sato and his trio are literally the cutoff. They're in 10th place right now, so they do need to have a decent match here. And now the safety of being uncontested is going to give them a little bit of time to relax. But a drop spot that has been contested basically every single match throughout the day, except for 1, is Canyon Crossing.
Could be some serious trouble on the horizon here for Hammy, Kev, and Ratty. They've largely been getting the better end of this exchange, but any delay is still a delay. Pump Power also shifting a bit here. Keto having already been knocked. Mongrel and Ijo, they're gonna have to hit the road here. This is their last chance, and they basically need a win to pull through, Takata.
Seeing them win in the last match would be hype, but they've got a long ways to go, and the way it's looking right now, no more builds. 14 shots total for Mongrel with a full trio that has shield pushing you. I give them a 10% chance here to come out on top.
You almost want to close your eyes. You kind of just don't want to watch it happen. Not again. Mongrel missing out on the Major Grand Finals, but that's just the level of competition that we're dealing with. Mongrel has been knocked. Hijo, just a sliver of HP. trying to keep the dream alive. Literally 1 HP and a dream. And some footwork, apparently. Shixie gonna go right by. Hi, Joe. This is the ultimate game of hide and go seek. His life is quite literally on the line. Almost takes out Glove for it, but the damage has been done. We are not going to be seeing Mongrel and his team in the Major 3 Grand Finals. A heartbreaking outcome for right now, Takada, because they're still the last chance qualifier.
Still possible, but a lot more difficult now for the big Grawl. Looking at Lone Wolf. ADN here trying to figure out what's the play. Another 1 versus 3.
Lone Wolf Lair hasn't really had a whole lot of overview at the starting point. We've just been seeing so many off-spawn contests from various positions on the map. Can't watch them all break down, but for Scary, Sean, Voldy, and Ford, this team has been very proactive in the early game, Takada. I mean, we've witnessed them find at least 1 or 2 teams, it seems like, to really just catch off guard, get those eliminations, but they might be on the receiving end for once. Kian continues kind of sneaking up here onto Scary Sean, also making sure to look back, thought that he heard one of Scary's teammates. But Scary, he doesn't seem like he's even aware of the fact that this solo is still waiting for that opportunity to strike. Might even just be looking to wait things out. Kian knows I could maybe just look to play for a reboot, but took matters into his own hands. He just wants to go down fighting. And his wish might be Forge's command. As Ford will take that last elimination there. Now a solid 3. And Scary's gonna continue to just fan out there at Lone Wolf.
Veno taking the 1v1 that's soon gonna turn into a 3v1 here. The knock comes through. Now Vico Venoflixi are in 9th, so technically qualifying range, but nowhere to be fully comfortable. It is top 10 that makes it through. We have names like Mr. Savage's trio in 11th, Podeside's trio in 12th, Cammy's in 14th, all outside of qualifying range. Now with only this last match to make something happen. It was devastating what happened to Savage in the last game, but we're gonna look at Fido, who was leading the pack to consistency just a moment ago, but now needing to secure their spot. These eliminations could do it.
These fights on the outskirts of the map, Ragu, Fido, Cringe, they're hoping that they can come together, and the starting point can be finding some early eliminations. They clearly need more than that. Not a lot of builds. This fight has been drawn out for quite some time now. And Cringe kind of just recognizing this is no longer worth, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. Let's just disengage. Gozia, Nazer, Lucky. They could still choose to just follow, but both of those teams kind of letting that engagement fizzle out.
Here we go, Mr. Savage chat reason from getting 3-2-1 to now doing the 3-2-1. Unfortunately, Kyrie wasn't able to get knocked, so now they are just going to close the gap a little further, pick up that dash sprite. And will they continue on forwards? It looks like they just might.
Kyrie's already had the chance, though, to reconvene with Casper and Prism. And Casper Prism, they're just going to give their trio mate a chance to regulate his HP, heal up a bit. Reason spots out Prism by himself. He's going to close in onto the solo. But Reason, even with the shield crack, has to reload. Chap trying to help him follow up. Chap just looking to break through the builds. Trying to open up an angle there for Reason to take advantage of. And there's still Savage working his way around. Very easy to lose sight where some of Chap's teammates are actually making their way towards. Chap still building overhead. Casper a little bit trapped now, but Casper, Kyrie, Prism, they're doing a great job. Whenever one is holding one angle, the other immediately shifts to the next, but they slip up for a moment, and that's gonna be enough damage done. Chap just trying to get into the box now. Gonna force a Medinus grenade, and that's gonna be a slight pullback here. Chap now looking to shift his focus back onto Prism. And Casper, Kyrie, still just tangling with Reason and Mr. Savage overhead. But this has been going on for quite some time now, Takata. Both sides burning an even amount of materials, but Casper, Kyrie, Prism, they were hoping to get some refarm going since they had already surge-based up, so they haven't had a chance to really gather as much material there as Savage's team.
Yeah, and although it's been going on for a while, there hasn't been any opposing kind of third-party trios getting close, but with the amount of damage that Savage, Chap, and Reason got, I think they're kind of happy with the outcome and are going to choose to disengage now. Don't want to take any further risks. Fox, though, Loki and Tricks here are okay to get right on in, and after that initial knock, they're going to try and close it out as Vox does go down, but it looks like his teammates are going to be able to close it out.
Luckily enough for him, Tricks definitely hold strong here. Floki going to be the first one to be revived. A little bit of a messier exchange, but once you've already won the fight, that's all you really need. They can definitely recuperate everything that was lost from this point on.
It's a good way to kick things off, especially in that last match. You want to be able to just kind of focus on your positioning and route instead of constantly thinking about how to get enough damage. But speaking about getting enough damage, two of our most consistent trios of the day. Making sure to follow the meta.
Pink Nebs and Kiro have had a little bit more of a steady pace through the mid games, but it's been such a steep emphasis on positioning, and it has just been awesome to see that switch up. But zooming back in towards Outlaw Oasis, Peshka picks off Moneymaker, and these kinds of opening strides, it's a tough break there for the kid, but F9, Tidy, they're all just going to be collected as aftermath there. It's a dangerous game to play, but the last chance qualifier is sometimes going to be their best bets. Cammy, Hydra, Party though. Vico, Veno, Flixie have no idea what actually sits directly behind them. They're trying to be so stealthy about this. They waited for the Spire to play the distraction measures here. But Hydra, Cammy, Harry, if they're not careful, if they don't secure this initial knock onto at least one of the members from the trio, this could 180 immediately.
Yeah, you gotta be careful here, as now the disengage is gonna come through. A lot of fights here by Brutal Boxcars throughout the day, but it's always different when it's your last chance in this match. Gonna make sure they're getting healthy on materials here before committing to anything. What I like about Vico Veno Flixie is even if the pressure's on, even if they're on the lower half of the leaderboard, or it is that last match, they're still not scared to take on fights.
Looked like Veno was getting some good tags there onto Cammy at the very end. Have to tune back in later, see whether or not Veno actually chooses to play that a little bit more aggressively with the rest of his team. But if you are sitting outside of that consistency metric for the leaderboard, switching things up, trying to take more aggressive roaming, that seems to be the intent here from Peshka. Still in Crime City, fighting things out. And Peshka, big shots. That knock onto Godoy could be all the difference here. Just needs to wait for that Siphon to start playing a part. And Wuka definitely still healthy enough. They can delay this 1 versus 2 against CNN and Marvick, but all they want is to try and trade out for the double revive. That option's gonna immediately be shut down though by Wuka. Smart play to wrap around, not give them the opportunity to bring their trio mate back into this.
Yeah, nice finish. 133 points is not enough to qualify yet, so they still need a pretty decent match here. Good way to start it off is 5 eliminations though. After this, I don't think they have to play too aggressive anymore, as they can just kind of focus on rotating, but it's always tempting when it's a 3v2. Say, might as well just, you know, pick up a couple more while we're at it, a few extra points, and it looks like that's what they want.
No risk, no story. You don't get out of 15th place without taking matters into your own hands, and CNN, ABC, Marvick, It's a valiant effort to draw out Pesha's team this far, but even with this kind of pull back, Pesha, they're still getting a solid application of surge damage, and they know that they can just hold this team on edge if they don't want to continue following them all the way back into Storm. It's very likely that Marvick and ABC are going to go for that last-ditch effort to play for the reboot van, but it is a very big uphill battle for them to bring it back.
That it is. I still feel the pain from the last match for Mr. Savage, Chap, and Reason. They were looking so comfortable on the leaderboard, but one hiccup is all it took to drop them out of qualifying range just by one placement in 11th. The good news is, you know, they've got a bit of loot. They're not in a fight. They are missing materials, but they should be able to get that as they're playing extra safe here in zone.
I almost feel like them being in 11th place heading into this lobby is worse mentally than if they were further out, because I feel like they're going to try and play this game so safe, and sometimes you just have to send it on a risk play. But deep inside of the Storm, even falling all the way back to their original starting point at Resistance Base, so clearly trying to just gather up whatever healing resources they'll be able to find, but you're gonna eventually have to encounter some other teams pulling in from these fringe positions. Whether or not the situation got better, though, for ZNN, Marvick, and Godoy, does seem to be the case. One knock onto Psy. They're not the only team looking to play for reboots inside a Storm.
This change in elevation, too, doesn't make me too comfortable. If that was Tynox down below. For Marvick, though, and Co, they are gonna do a good job of holding them if they want to keep on doing so. Issue is, zone is
They've
quite
got to
far.
go.
Yeah. Hopefully they, you know, take the safer option to head on out, but the Buell, Vexy, and Pixovsky. Not a lot of trios where they are.
What we're witnessing is the consequences of teams losing some of these early fights, so they're having to just run all the way back into the Storm. And they're also just hoping that there aren't teams looking for those dead side rotates that are going to be catching them along the way of making a play for these reboots. But it's now time that they've got to spend refarming materials, finding whatever white heals they can along the way, but they're just so far south of where everything else is going to be played from. And when you're actually thinking about, you know, those win conditions for the final lobby of the day, it's going to be quite the journey for this team. But it's something that they're willing to keep trying to move forward with. It's really all they've got left until they're fully eliminated.
Kind of happy with how this final zone turned out, though. Pretty dead center in the map, given an even chance for the players on the corners, you know, to make their way into zone. Like you mentioned, though, it really depends on how your early game went, depending on how soon you were able to start your rotations. A lot of trios playing inside of the Storm in this match. Vito Cringe and Recoup. 9-15 above, that's good.
We are drawing ever closer, though, to brutal boxcars, and since this is also the origin story there for Veno's team, no surprises that Veno, Vico, Flixie, just trying to control the flow state of teams around them. They love taking over priority positions inside of zone, even if it means like taking a little bit of Storm damage. They've got med miss grenades to do so if they want to tank early Storm for boxing up into those better spots, and Flixie just getting whatever damage they can. They're already sitting 800 plus above. They're not fretting about the surge damage, but if you can have more, why not?
Exactly, you can never have too much surge, and they're showing exactly that. Cammy, eye drop, Hari, they went for height 2 separate games and held it on for a majority of the match, but even with their pretty consistent performance, it's still not been enough to put them in qualifying range. As it looks like Canyon is continuing to be a difficult position to get out of.
This is just boiled down to, if it's not me, it's not going to be you either kind of situation between these two teams, because there is no world where Vexy feels confident in being able to escape from this position and salvage this match for the rest of his team. Neo and Teenox also looking to try and shut down Vexy. They know that he's the last man standing for his team, and they've already invested so much time in this southern point of the map, Takata. You might as well finish what you started. 3 eliminations now for Neo and Teenox, but the recovery tour has really only just begun.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. Hey, if we see them later on, I'll be impressed, but for now, Podesai, Art Skill, X-Squeeze, 12th place on the leaderboard, but they've made it to the end game. They have a good amount of loot, have a good amount of damage, currently inside of the zone. They can't let anything go wrong here. The chemistry has to be at an all-time high. We want to see a French trio representing not only in the major finals, but, you know, the global championship later this year in France. Looking back over at Kiro, Pink, and Nebs also in a solid position.
As they have been all throughout the course of these 5 lobbies so far today, Takata Pink has done a great job at just steering his team through solid entry points on the map, also making sure that they're one of the first to move so they don't get caught in any sort of clutter. And Pink had long staked out their next point of attack, also trying to make sure that they keep a good blockade from the line of sight from the teams that were boxed on top of the hill there. Few builds tossed back just to keep their angles covered, but Floki, Box, Trix could be dangerous there for Kiro. He's got to reunite, and they should be safe from this point on.
Hopefully. Hopefully. Rotate still coming through.
For right
Cammy,
now.
hurry, eye drop. Trying to kind of close that gap between the trios rotating on in. Using as much cover as possible. There is a little ridge there that Shixie's going to be able to use. They are going to choose to just sit in the bush, though. We've talked about it. Seti has gotten his spot alongside his trio in the major finals now. Will Cammy be able to do it? The best shot at it is right here, right now. Only 3 trios qualified to the last chance qualifier out of everybody participating, so you don't want to leave it up to that. Group 3 is where you want to make it happen if you're participating today. As Akira, Werix, and Kararma now getting incredibly low, but it looks like they made it to zone.
Come on, Savage wants more of those shots to connect. They need a little bit more surge here. Chap and Reason also trying to scout out any sort of additional tags, any kind of extra opportunities. But checking back in with where Pink, Kira, and Nebs were last spotted. They're making quick work of their position, that's for sure. Stormy Right's team under duress. Nebs, Kira, Pink, content with where they're currently at. Podesai, Artskill, X-Squeeze. They just want to replicate the same level of success that they had even in the last lobby, Takata. That would be more than enough to get them across the finish line here and into the Major 3 Grand Finals. But Artskill, he recognizes his teammates a little bit too low. Podesai continuing to get tagged up here. Storm Surge takes working against them, but lucky that might be the saving grace here. 184 above now and can play for the double revive onto Artskill. They're not out the danger zone just yet. They still got to keep things pushing forward.
Huge impact with the dashes they just acquired now. A bit of safety as Vico Venoflixi 84 above. Despite the aggression, they're still getting quite close to that surge cutoff now, just trying to find any angle possible. Pink, Nebs, Kiro 228 above. Nice shots onto Casper, but the rotate is going to have to come through shortly. There is a potential of this zone going up the hill, up the mountain once again, so you don't want to be late to rotate here if it pulls double far.
And that's all that they've been waiting for. Cammy, Hadi, they're even going to tank a little bit of storm damage early on if it means getting them into the best position to deal with the rest of the lobby. Way overhead now. Eye drop Gonna start looking back, gonna start waiting for his opportunity. Doesn't have a whole lot of ammo though. Ideally, Cammy or Hardy can drop a little bit for him to work with here on that Spire rifle, but having overtaken that starting point of the mountain face, that elevation is going to be some huge leverage over the rest of this lobby. Savage, Chap, and Reason though, big elimination onto Nebs. Fortunately for him, Pink and Kyoto are still up and running. They can definitely try to just buy time, a little bit more placements. They've had such a consistent day already, Takata. They're not really in any heavy threat to lose their spot in the leaderboard.
All they need to do is clutch up a few extra points to secure that spot. They're right on the edge currently. Vico, Venom, Flixie picking up one more. Cammy gonna see if they can go for it. Third time's the charm. As Vico, Venom, Flixie only 8 above are gonna be forced to look for some angles here, but the focus is gonna be that rotation alongside the side of the mountain. You wanna be ahead, and that's exactly what they're capitalizing on.
Kyoto, Pink, just trying to get whatever damage they can. Having lost Nevs, that was a good chunk of their surge that just separated into thin air. Kyoto, Pink, got a good... Oh, Kyoto gonna be forced to drop all the way to ultimate low. He's just trying to play catch up to Pink now. Pink gonna be forced into using a Medmis grenade here. Tragedy as Kyoto gets dropped in the process of trying to reconnect with him too. But he's still looking to try and stick this revive. He might actually manage to pull it off. Everyone else just so preoccupied with separate fights that they're going to be able to squeeze through the cracks there and remain unnoticed. Cammy, I dropped Potty though. This is a big game for them, playing from height. And Savage, he might have just found some trouble.
Issue is zone pulled far. Not sure if they're gonna have enough mats to hold on to height. This would be a perfect time to retake it. But with the change in elevation, it makes it that much more difficult to look for height, as now all these players are forced to drop down low. Flixie, Veno, Vico continuing to look strong. Savage getting on ahead. Reason Chap still up and running. As now second height. Are they gonna contest it? It's Podesai and his trio. Cammy still holding on.
Vico doesn't have a whole lot of mats though. They're gonna hold tight in secondary height. They're just gonna take advantage of the teams underneath that get caught off guard. Stormy right has fallen. Vico though having to fight his way through this, and he can feel the walls closing in around him. It's only Vico and Flixie. Veno has been eliminated. Flixie gonna get cut off here. Misform trapped inside the boxes, does find an opening to escape. Front side low though. They are not healthy, and Flixie, he's gonna fall. Vico by himself, only 5, make that 4 builds left to burn through, but he catches Keaton. He thought the loot was free, but it's never free, and Vico knows it best. Working through backside of zone, but that material count is gonna buy him so much time.
That impact was everything for Vico, Veno, and Flixie. They might not even be qualified yet. Still a few more points needed to be secure.
Yeah, 197
not
enough.
177 is not going to be enough, but up above, it is going to be Podesai, X-Swedes, and Artskill. They're looking to take height from Cammy. They might have just done it, as Vico is continue to clutch it out as a solo.
Mr. Savage also tunneling his way through that secondary height, but high ground itself belongs to France. Podesai, Artskill, X-Squeeze, way up above. They still got the Medmis grenade to work with too. They're gonna let that heal themselves up before they start dropping some of these lower layers, start playing that little bit of disruption features. Vico still burning through materials, but as a solo, he's done an excellent job. He's buying so much time. That pullback also gonna do him a solid here. But the high ground just keeps getting toppled over. Podesai eliminated. Kyrie, Casper, Prism. They've gone for the overthrow, and with them now in control of high ground, but they don't have the material, Takata.
They don't, and what they need, it might be the victory royale. I don't even know if a second place is going to be enough for them. Cammy with 168, they need more points, but a player right in their box doesn't even matter. Free elimination pumped up to 174, getting closer and closer to being in qualifying range, but no more materials as Hari, Cammy are going to be forced down low, but who's waiting for them? It's Mr. Savage, it's Chap, left as a duo, continuing to push on forwards.
Mr. Savage, he's gonna need to come up huge here. Cammy just surfing overhead. He's gonna be dropped down. Casper taken down, but Cammy, it's a double whammy here. Does he have enough? Mr. Savage eliminated next. And Vico, the solo from the start, and yet he's coming up a one-man army here. Vico from overhead. He got the knock. He's waiting for the siphon. The fall damage still working against him, but what a display.
I don't know who.
It might have been the difference for Veno's team. Kyrie, he can't find Trexer. Trexer still with a med kit. Mappy, Cheatin, and Trexer with the heal off secure the final lobby. Takada, they sniped that win away.
A second place was not enough for Mappy, Cheatin, and Trexer. They needed that victory royale.
Someone made out. They decided to fake. No.
After the heal off, what a way to close it out. It can't feel much better than qualifying through the VR when it was your only option to make it to the finals.
And the mental fortitude that they have to work with there too, because when they lost Cheatin, I think so many other teams would just immediately be like, all right, that's wraps it, it's over. Like there's no way, surely, but they still just made it happen. They trusted on their intuition. Trexer just had no other choice but to hope that that medkit would be the difference.
Yeah, that's a huge way to close it out for Trexer. I think Kyrie was also just on the borderline of qualifying all of those trios that were right beside that top 10, needing a decent match. Made it to the end game. It has been an incredible run in these groups. It has been a pleasure to commentate these matches alongside Taco. That's it for us, but we still have to break it down on the desk. So Frankie, Levin, Mini, let us know if we missed anything.
Imagine being in 21st on the leaderboard and managing to pull off a victory royale like that. And Trexer, Mappy, and Cheatin were able to do just that many minor.
Yeah, great performance from these guys. They hadn't even managed a top 10 in the whole day. So the fact they were able to clutch up in that very last game to make it happen, even trusting that med kit there at the end, it's so easy to try and, maybe try and find the other opponent to try and take them out. But they had the trust. It's what they needed. I don't think they could have qualified elsewhere at 11. So really great performance from these guys.
No, absolutely. At the start of the day, Frankie, you asked me, were there any other teams I thought could maybe surprise people and qualify through? And I said these guys, they didn't perform particularly well all day, but the reason why they were a team I had on my radar was because of the pop-off potential. If you're familiar with these three, you know there's firepower there, you know they have the ability to come through in games like this and just make their mark, and they do it at such a pertinent time. Big congratulations to them. Can't wait to see them in the major final.
Huge. And let's remind ourselves of the other teams that got themselves a victory royale today. If you cast your minds back to game one, Clownsky, Gabix, and Waze, they made holding the high ground look easy, Levin.
Absolutely, right? Easy as you do it. Probably the easiest hype game they'll have all season long. I promise you, boys, next weekend's going to be a bit harder than that, but still, they'll be ready. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think looking down the list, I think there's a lot of names on here that we maybe wouldn't have expected. I think things didn't go as expected for some of our bigger names. Of course, Swizzy, Queasy, and Moustache, a team that we'd expect to get a win, but not necessarily in the same manner that they did. It was a little bit of a difficult game for them, but those sort of teams, they always pull through. So I'm excited to see the consistency.
I'm constantly thinking now, boys, about who has made it onto the consistency leaderboard. We're just checking that over. We'll have that with you shortly. Do you think, though, Levin, that Vico, Veno, and Flixie made it?
I think they did, but there's other people I'm looking at as with my eyes really closely. I mean, it was really tough for them, but Vico did incredibly well there to really clutch up some points towards the end. I mean, there were just so many people. It was hard for me to keep track. Props to the commentators throughout the end there, because there are just so many names who were close, who needed the points, who needed the win, and you're just on the edge of your seat, Mini.
Yeah, it was really nail-biting stuff here at the end. So many of our teams that needed to do well were in the same sort of situation. For Vico, Veno, Flixie, I don't think there's any doubt in our minds that they would qualify today. So it'll be interesting to see if they do actually make it in there. But they needed all 5 games to make it happen. Not a very good start from these guys by their standards at the beginning of the day. And then, I don't know what happened. It just clicked. Something switched in their team, in their brains, that they figured out how to play this lobby. And from game 3 onwards, they had a really solid performance. 2nd, 4th, and then a 3rd place. Yeah. So great performance from these guys at the end.
And here is the top 5.
Oh my God, made it.
You can see We have some big names in there, and I know there's going to be a lot of Mr. Savage fans who are screaming with delight, Mini Miner.
Oh my.
Yeah, absolutely delightful for those guys right there in 5th place. Only by a single point they did it by as well. So, I mean, they needed all of that clutch in that last game 11. Huge performance from those guys. And a team that we would have expected to be in the major finals. They didn't make it easy for themselves, but they got there in the end.
That's why.
Hey, Minnie, what did they say, man?
Wow.
Pressure? What pressure? Pressure's the tires, man. Come on, man. This Mr. Savage, they've been doing this. We get to see them in the major finals. None of that last chance nonsense. None of that. None of that for them. They get to go straight through to the week, and I'm happy for the boys.
Can I just say, last chance qualifier is not going to be nonsense. We've got some big names in there. We've got Cammy is definitely going to be playing, and I know there's going to be a lot of people scared to come toe-to-toe with him and Harry. And also, of course, we're going to see Thomas HD, who failed to qualify through Group 1. He's going to be there with his teammates Sky and Scroll, doing it for the Danes. Any other names you think are going to score big potentially in the last chance qualifier or have big disappointments, Levin?
Look, you can never count MA out. I know the gentlemates are going to be eagerly waiting for that last chance qualifier. Art Skill, Podesai, Xweez, they will be there. They will be ready to fight for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm the same. Demon's Domain for those guys, I'm sure will be their drop spot for that. I think it's going to be interesting to see what they can do. They've been able to clutch up in the past. They need it, so I think they need all the M8 fans to be on their side for the last chance. It's going to be tough for them, but I have all faith in that.
We are going to be chilling during those last chance qualifiers. We're going to be getting the popcorn out. The question is, though, guys, whose watch parties are you going to be hanging out in? Levin.
Ooh, I'd say, look, I'm friends with too many watch parties, but there's so many to choose from. Do you know what I'm saying? If you want the English vibe, you might watch an Aussie Antics, you might watch a Coach Boop, you might watch a Motor. If you're French, you want to watch Nikoff, watch the boys, maybe Havoc, you want to watch them. Who else I might be watching? For NA, I will be watching NA as well. Shout out to Fax and them, man, you know. I'll be watching loads of people. I might watch the Italiana, you know what I'm saying? Mikey TV, my boy. Shout out to all my Italians out there. What other nation am I forgetting, Mini Man? I'm sure there's someone else.
Germany.
How can I forget? How can I forget my guy Amar? You've got to be watching Amar if you're German speaking, man. Even if you're not German speaking, you can watch Amar. It'll be good fun.
Mini Man, you've got no one left to choose.
Well, I know, there's none left. I'm just going to have them all open at once and just watch them all at the same time. I'm going to have like 18 monitors looking at every single POV. It's going to be great. But yeah, I'm excited for the last chance. Always good vibes, good fun. And of course, it's 3 games, right? So all teams need is to get 1 VR and get themselves in. It is truly last chance saloon. So super excited for it.
It's going to be so exciting. Make sure you hang out at one or multiple of those many watch parties we've just mentioned on Wednesday and Thursday. It's going to be totes and mosh. For now, though, let's say goodbye to Levin, Mini Miner, Taco, and Takata. Stick around because in a couple of hours' time, we will have the North American broadcast. And don't forget, next weekend, our first day of the major 3 finals will start an hour earlier. So set your watches, mark it in your calendars. But now, though, it's goodbye from us.
You not want to say why?
Sound that horn.
Fucking liar face. Look at them up. Okay, great.